somewhere on the homework I wrote, I like cake. I'm not kidding. So like 3 or 4 years in a row, there's Andy, and I'm like, man, I don't remember liking cake that much, but apparently I did.
Welcome to CelinaRadio.com. Recorded right here in Celina, Texas, a quiet little dusty, sleepy town that has absolutely nothing going on. Guys, welcome to another episode of CelinaRadio.com. And of course, as always, we know there's so much going on in Celina, Texas. I love that intro because it's exactly the opposite of the truth. And I'm not going to change it because I think it's awesome, but check out this music. It's kind of this vibe I've got going on right now with like beach vacation stuff. And this is some beach vacation music, and I just dig it. And you're going to dig the show we've got today because we've got Andy Hopkins. And if you don't know Andy, you're missing out on a lot. Andy is absolutely awesome. So we did a little interview with him. We talked a little bit, kind of like we always do. And then we did some special questions, and he gave us some, well, very special answers. So you're going to like that part. But we're going to do something also a little different today in the sense that the whole real estate market right now has just kind of, jumped through its backside, so to speak. And a lot of people are concerned about what's going on. So, it's easy to think of CelinaRadio.com as just like an interview show because I've done so many interviews, but it's not just that. I said I'd talk about real estate every once in a while. Now is one of those times when we kind of need to kind of circle around and talk about what's going on in the real estate market because it is absolutely critical to Celina, Texas. So we're going to briefly touch on that, and then we're going to hop into the interview with Andy Hopkins. So we've got a fantastic show. Well, let's get into some of that real estate stuff real quick, and then let's have some fun with Andy Hopkins. So clearly you know that the real estate market has just changed. And you know that, and probably know that interest rates have gone up. The market has started to slow down just a little bit. And you're probably wondering, what exactly does that mean for real estate in Celina, Texas? And maybe you don't care. You're not looking at selling, you're not looking at buying. So all of this is kind of insignificant to you. So in that sense, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I do want to just give you a little bit of insight because this is what I do for a living on a daily basis. It's what I've done for the last 10 years. And prior to that, I did it back in the 80s. It was one of the first real jobs I ever had was doing real estate. My family is all in real estate, so I just live and breathe this stuff. But we're not going to get into all that stuff right now. What we are going to talk about is what has just now happened. And what happened was interest rates went up, the market slowing down just a little bit, and it has shifted from more of a seller's market to a more balanced market. So it's still not a buyer's market. And real estate is still a hot commodity, and people are paying still over market value on homes and things like that. But let me explain to you very quickly what this means for each side of the coin, buyers and sellers. For buyers, it means you've got a little more leverage now. There's not quite as many buyers in the market. There are more homes for sale right now. And we're talking about just kind of a snapshot in time right now because this, again, it's a very fluid market and it will change again soon. But as of right now, you don't have to get into a fist fight in front of a house with 10 other people in order to get an opportunity to buy a house. That's not how it is right this second. So it's a good time. It's a healthier time in the market right now if you're looking to buy. That has been very different, as we all know, in these previous months, and it's just been insane. That's not how it is right now. But on the other side of that coin, if you're a seller, it's changed a little bit for selling too. And again, in a healthy way. It was getting so bad and there was so much greed in the market. People are automatically going on listing homes and they were just jacking those prices up like crazy, taking big time advantage of a lot of people. And it was not a good time. Not a good time if you don't like things like seeing all that greediness and stuff like that. And I don't like that. So things have shifted a little bit. Now you can still get a very, very good price for your home, for your listing, for your ranch, for your whatever it is that you have, because it's still shifted slightly in the favor of the seller. But what you're not going to have is 700 people beating each other up trying to buy your listing. So you've got to take that into account. Unfortunately, right now, there's still a lot of real estate people out there who believe that the market is still the way it was. And so they're going to help you or not stop you from listing your home for way too much money. And of course, the reality sets in that it's not exactly the same market anymore. Your home sits there and has to get a price reduction. And that's not a good thing right now. You don't want to start out so high and then have that price reduction, because that's just fuel. If I'm the agent working for the buyer and I see that you've lowered your price, maybe that's what I'm looking for. I'm ready to work on that deal. You don't want to be on the other side of that deal for me. So don't do that to start. Price your home properly. As a matter of fact, I've always been a fan of slightly underpricing your home. Create a huge amount of demand for your property, for your home, and then it's automatically going to go up higher. So we're not going to get into all the details, but just understand the market has changed. It is not the aggressive seller's market anymore. It's shifting to a little more healthy market. It's a little more balanced right now. It's still good for both sides. It's actually better right now probably than it was. And thankfully, I've seen some of that greed getting flushed away. And we don't have room for any of that stuff right here in Celina, Texas. So that's all I'm going to say about this right now. And we're going to focus instead on Andy Hopkins. Guys, I am here right now with Andy Hopkins, and if you know him, then you know he goes by the nickname of Hop. Can I call you Hop through this interview?
Please do, yeah.
Absolutely. And if you can't already tell, just from 5 seconds of him talking, he's got the most amazing radio voice. So, Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. And for people who may not know who you are, which is probably like 3 people in the entire town.
They need to get out more.
They need to get out more, because you are on Celina City Council and you also own a local business. What is your local business?
The UPS Store in Salina, right out in front of Carter Ranch. That's probably where most people know me, because there may be 3 people who don't shop on Amazon and therefore don't return things. So they'll see me and my great staff there at the UPS Store.
So is that something like, I know my wife orders a ton of stuff from Amazon, and I'm guessing we don't do a lot of returns, but is that like a big deal right now? Is that what they do?
Huge. And I'll tell you that I've been in other businesses, small businesses, where I'm a sole proprietor type thing, and I would have killed to have so many people walk through the door on purpose. We get 7,000 to 9,000 returns a month. And then it's up to me to alert people, hey, we do these other things and all that kind of stuff. So we're number 1 in the area in returns, but we're also number 1 in, out of all of Dallas, Fort Worth, almost 130 stores in all things printing, mailboxes, customer average, all these things. And we're barely 3.5 years old, and we top the charts in many of the most important, metrics that they look at, which is why we're looking at store number 2.
Wow, that's amazing. So how did you find your way into a UPS Store franchise? Were you looking for something? You're like, hey, this looks really good. Or did you know someone else that had done it? How did you get involved with that?
I like this story. My dad was visiting. My dad lives up north, and I had businesses in Plano, as I mentioned a little bit, and we would... I had reason to go to UPS stores. And I loaded my dad in the car and said, let's go. We got to run some errands. And one of which was the UPS store. And there's one this way and there's one the other way. And we went to both of them. And the first one I said, these places are always busy, Dad. And he asked me, well, how do we get into one of those? And I looked at him like he had a hole in his head because I don't know. And it's not even in the realm of thinking that I couldn't even consider that. Couldn't wrap my head around it, really. And then the next day, or 2 or 3 days later, whatever it was, we went to another one, and he said, man, these things are crazy. That was around Thanksgiving. A couple weeks later, he called me, and he said, no, I'm serious about this. You do some legwork and start reaching out to people. Maybe go talk to the owners and see what you think, and let's figure something out. And by March of the next year, we were essentially under contract to build and finish out this place. And it's one of the best things I've ever done because it really is a culmination of all the things that I've done in all my varied careers, with the exception of probably this radio thing. But yeah, from sales to printing to management and all these things, it's really just wrapped up, and it's really it's God's plan more than anything. And it took me a while to see it, but it's one of the best things that we've ever done. And it's my dad, my wife, and myself. We're all partners in this.
Well, I like that. What a great story. And I love the fact that you see it as God's plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes he takes us down roads that we might not see for ourselves.
It looks like Frogger if you look back at the map, but it really is, for you kids, Frogger's a video game that you would put a quarter in. And for you kids, a quarter's 25 cents.
And isn't it sad that now it's just exactly what we were saying a while ago, that I had mentioned a TV show, Green Acres, to a person that I know, and they're younger generation, and literally they had no idea what that was. So I find myself explaining things a lot and getting this really puzzled look on my face when my little 9-year-old goes up to a gumball machine and needs 4 quarters to get something out of the gumball machine.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty serious. And that's how it is now. I'm like, oh, you need a quarter? She's like, I need 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, things have changed just a little bit. Tell us how you got to Celina, Texas, because we all kind of get here over time, and we all have our journey here. What's your journey to Celina, Texas?
This is part of that same God's plan, and I didn't know it at the time, but my wife and I lived in Plano in a couple of different houses for quite some time. And right when Toyota announced that they were coming to Texas, the housing prices in that part of Plano, really everywhere, I guess, in this area, were going crazy. And we wanted to take advantage of that. But much like it is now, where you could sell your house, but where are you going to go? And we moved out here we came out here to visit some friends for their kid's birthday party. It was over Memorial Day weekend. And he was flipping houses as a side hustle. We asked him, how's it going? How's this place, the current side hustle thing, doing? And he said, well, it's a dump, in different language, but it was basically a dump, and that we wouldn't get it. He would have to show us around. It's right around the corner on Ohio Street. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned today, but I'm a Buckeye. I was born to 2 students on Ohio State's campus, and brought home to student housing. So when I heard Ohio Street, I'm like, okay, this couldn't hit me in the face more. And we went over and looked at it, and it was indeed a dump. But we were looking through our rose-colored HGTV glasses, and we got out to the backyard, and my wife, Debbie, and I didn't say anything, just exchanged a knowing nod, and we said, we want to buy this house. And he said, are you flipping kidding me? And turned out he was going to be our contractor, and we put a sign in our yard the next week and sold our house over the summer and moved in right after that. And so now we live on Ohio, 2 Buckeye fans, living on Ohio Street in a gray house with a red front door, and now a block O-shaped pool. So we're that kind of people.
You're those kind of people.
Yes.
And I'm curious. You're very, very invested in the whole Ohio State thing. Am I saying it right? Is it Ohio State?
Ohio State. Yeah,
Okay.
Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also obnoxious, and we embrace it. Yeah.
Do you have, I'm just asking, this is a kind of a long shot, but are any of your pets named anything related to Ohio?
Sort of. We did dearly departed chocolate lab named Buckeye.
Okay.
But now we've got 3 soft-coated Wheaten Terriers, and while they're not named Ohio State things, the 2 youngers are they're all Irish named first names, and then the 2 younger ones, their middle names are variations of fraternity brothers of mine from Ohio State. So we've got Murphy, who's not blessed with a really pithy middle name, and then Grady Buffington and Higgins O'Doyle.
Wow,
So, yeah.
that is impressive.
Yes,
That's
right.
awesome. I just name a goat Kevin or something, and I feel pretty good about that.
I'm a huge fan of animals named with like sort of straight up human names. I think that's really awesome. Like Steve,
Right.
that's cool.
There's something funny about that whenever when you walk outside and people are like, oh, look at this goat or this donkey or this whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, that's Brian,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of,
It's really
kind of
fun.
fun.
It
Yeah.
is fun.
So tell me this, Celina right now is going through just this big boom, and we all know that. And we all love Celina. That's why we're here. You've served on city council now for how long?
I'm in my 2nd year of my 3rd term, so 7.5 years, somewhere in that range.
And clearly you do that because you love this community, you love this city, and that's I don't even have to ask about that.
Yeah.
But tell me what you think about all this growth. I mean, it's coming. It's on its way.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Well, when I first started investigating, I actually joked with some friends. I said, I love this town so much, and we had been here about a year. I said, I want to be mayor of this town. And I was just joking. And my friend said, well, I'm related to the mayor, but you might consider running for city council because there's an open seat. And I ended up having an opponent, but I did. And the reason I ran initially is because at the end of my street is downtown. And at that point, downtown was just a tumbleweed shy of being deserted. And couple of restaurants and really very little else. Jimbo's Pizza was there, but there was not much going on that would draw people. We had some businesses down there, but it really, in my estimation, could have gone either way at that point. And I felt like it needed someone to help marshal it in the correct direction and make sure that there was someone on city council. I didn't invent the idea, but I needed to know that there was somebody on city council that was going to keep their foot on the gas with city staff and the city manager, and we've had a few of them since then, to focus on downtown. And we got complete buy-in from the rest of city council. It was very easy to do because everybody saw the value in that, and so it became a focus of everybody. And we got citizen input and all that sort of stuff. So that doesn't answer your question about growth necessarily, but that's what got me interested in this. And then I realized that I didn't know a lot, and it does take some time to learn what council's piece of controlling or managing. You can't really control it, but you can manage it, I guess, growth, at what our part in that is. And we do have a part in it, but it's not something where, I hear, stop the growth, cancel it, shut the gate. A lot of times, people just get here and say, okay, I'm the last one in, shut the door. And then we know, obviously it does. I'm being a little facetious. It doesn't happen that way. But I learned some things that, we have to play ball in a sense with developers, because a landowner can sell their land and you can't do anything about it because it's capitalism. It's, I lived here and my grandkids don't want it anymore. I'm selling it. And what's a developer going to do with that land? He's going to develop it. but you have to make sure that you make deals with them that will keep them in the city, that will have them annexed so that they pay taxes and so that they don't use all the infrastructure and all that kind of stuff and benefit from what we're doing in Celina and not pay for it. And it's not this big greedy government. It's really just doing what is best for the citizens of Celina. And how we do those things is the learning curve's, I think, fairly steep. I did come from a bit of a background of that. My dad was a city manager for 30 some years. So it wasn't like I knew those things, but I was aware of how some of that stuff worked. But the growth is, and I equate it to a fire hose just laying in the middle of the street, and you turn that thing on and it's going to be like this wild snake, and you can't just have one person trying to hold it. It's still going to go over there. You have to have multiple people pointing it in the right direction. Well, the fire hose is growth, and the people holding it are the citizens, and they put us in charge of helping maintain control. And it's pointing that growth in the right direction because we live between the tollway and Preston, and she's coming.
That's right. Whether we like it or not,
right.
Like you said, it's a matter of managing it. That really struck me when you said that people want to be like, okay, I'm the last one in, now close the door.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Because we all love it. And if we just kind of freeze it right here, right now, that might be kind of good to some people. Other people are a little more welcoming, but either way, we don't really have a say. We can just manage it.
Yeah, and I think there's certain value in romantically, at least, to say, okay, we've got enough development, housing. I prefer to call them neighborhoods, and I typically I do call them neighborhoods. Development sounds too developmenty. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to say, okay, from here on out, nothing but acre plus estate lots. That would be great. But you can't tell a developer that, hey, you just spent $35 million on this ginormous acreage deal. You can only divide it up and sell 35 pieces of it. You're limited to that. If that were the case, they'd go to Austin, get their own district, and then we're right back to where I talked about, where they're using the city's stuff, but they're not in the city, and they're surrounded by the city. We can't do that, so we've got to really manage it, and we've got a great city staff. Our city manager does a great job. He's really superb at that, and the entire staff, everybody's just terrific.
I would agree. I have some opportunities right now where we're establishing some businesses in town, and I've been here since 93.
Yeah.
I've seen when it wasn't maybe quite as awesome as it is right now.
Yeah, and that many years ago, you wouldn't have thought about opening up a business downtown.
There was no chance. As a matter of fact, this is going to sound hilarious, but the building right now, the brick building that is right here next to Lucy's.
Yeah.
There was a very, very old building there at the time. That's been demolished, and believe it or not, all the bricks were sent down into Dallas into Highland Park or University Park and used on a home down there.
Dang.
But I always thought, gosh, that big building right there, one day I should do something with that. But I couldn't think of anything to do with it. Now, gosh, I wish I had bought it back then. Can you even imagine what it would be like to have that on the square right now with all of this growth? It would be amazing. But speaking of the square, we've got a lot of places to eat right there. Yeah. What do you like? Like if I walk into the square and I'm like, there's Andy. Where might I see you eating lunch on the square?
Oh, I expected this question, and it's a real Sophie's Choice sort of thing. I don't know how to do it because I have in you kind of warned me that there was going to be a question like this. So I have my favorites everywhere, and I know that's the answer that you probably get a lot of times. But if, gun to my head, I get one thing. Man, it's so tough. First thought is probably Joey Dawkins ribeye.
Okay.
And that's awesome.
Tell me
you're more than likely to see me walk into Valley Vine, one of the wineries, Carmela's or Valley Vines.
Right.
But go ahead.
Tell me about this. So you said ribeye over there.
Yeah.
Not something I've tried.
Oh man, it's super great. They and Joey does it and I don't know. I fancy myself a amateur cook. He's a chef, but he prepares them sous vide style so that when they're mainly cooked to a temperature, and then that's, I guess, you can keep them there and then throw them on the grill to darken them up on the outside. But it's really good, and it's kind of unexpected, I guess, because you look at their weekday menu and it seems more casual sandwiches and salads and that sort of thing, but it's really great. But I can't, we go everywhere. We go to all of them. So my apologies to all the rest, because I have my favorite, at Papagayo's and Tender and Bongo's, all and Lucy's. I mean,
I'm going to ask you about some of those. So if you're in Papagayo's, what are you going to get?
I create my own.
Okay.
I do a crispy taco or two, and then an enchilada with queso, and you got to order a side of flour tortillas so that you can smash all that stuff up together and mop it up afterwards, and a swirl margarita.
100%. Now, I'll tell you, if there's anything that unifies the people of Celina, Texas, it's the margaritas over at Papagayo's. I hear that so often.
For sure.
And I have to admit that, at times I have participated in that unity of, choice as well. So, do you go into Lucy's very often?
Yeah, for sure. A couple times a month, we'll go in there maybe after church, or just, I'm not good. I do the cooking at home, so sometimes I'm not interested, and we'll just go down there, and it's great food. And I love Moises, and his people are awesome, and it's a really fun atmosphere.
Give me an idea. What am I going to see you order at Lucy's?
Like a 10-year-old, I order the chicken finger basket with white gravy.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all. That's awesome. That's very good. And the Celina Square, what a transformation that's gone through.
Totally unbelievable.
Is it not the best thing to just maybe walk out of Lucy's or walk out of one of these restaurants and hear the music playing, see the flags, see all the nice landscape that they've done, see the kids playing in the square? There's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it in Texas, because there's tons of squares in Texas, but they almost all have a courthouse in the middle of them. I bet dollars to donuts that you could count on your one hand how many other like Celina in the entire country. It's that unique. We've gone from a Dove soap budget to a Buff City soap budget. We don't do that, so now we go in there and we buy that awesome soap, and we go get our coffee at Summer Moon, and Debbie, my wife, and I joke that we just are walking around with our Celina foam finger and pennant all the time. But it's true. We don't want to go anywhere else, and there's other restaurants opening up or in the plans for that, and eventually the square is going to be expanded a little bit, actually up to where we're sitting now, and the council chambers is going to be one of the, I guess, the western edge of the square eventually. And all that's not just something that the city council came up with. This was after many hours and thousands of data points that were given to us by our bosses, the citizens.
That's amazing, and it's a wonderful time to be in Celina, Texas. It's
sure
amazing to be here. It's it's everything that I would want it to be. We've got great leadership. We've got the business owners are all invested.
Man, and you know what? I think I'm sorry to
please,
jump in.
Please.
One of the coolest things, and I was in communities with, like I said before, with small businesses, whether it's in a strip center or in a little office building or whatever. And even if these businesses weren't really in competition with each other, you still got that feel that they were in competition with each other. And while the bottom line is, one boutique versus another boutique, they're all looking for that boutique money. I see businesses helping other businesses all the time, myself included. I look for ways to support the local businesses here, and I'm not the only one. It's something in the water. It really is. And it's this overwhelming feeling of community when you're downtown in particular, but not just downtown, in Celina. I've told people this: if you want to know what welcoming feels like, open a business in Celina.
100%. And something that Michaela Everson told me was that collectively, a lot of the businesses downtown will get together and agree to go to one of the other businesses and say, let's say it's a restaurant, everybody orders lunch from there on that day. Or if it's a shop, everybody goes to that shop and does some shopping or whatever. And even if you're in a competing business with that, you still go and give your time and your resources to support the other business. And I love that. That's amazing. That can't happen everywhere.
Yeah. Just the stones on Michaela to be as young as she is and opening up a full-on bakery with a dining area and all that kind of stuff. Just it's awesome.
It is. And speaking of Michaela and her specialty cakes, are you a fan?
Of course. I like cake.
I think
it's a long family joke. When my mom was cleaning out all the crap that she collected of mine from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, all the papers and stuff like that. She didn't keep it all, but she kept some. And she said she gave it to me, and I was just looking at it before I threw it away. And from when you first start writing in kindergarten to first grade, you start doing better, and then you start cursive or whatever. I don't know what it was about it, but and obviously different teachers and all that kind of stuff. But every year, at somewhere on the homework, I wrote, "I like cake." I'm not kidding. So like 3 or 4 years in a row, there's Andy, and I'm like, man, I don't remember liking cake that much, but apparently I did.
That's greatness. That's awesome. So do you have a favorite of one of Michaela's cakes? Is there one that you're like, okay, I really love that one?
Yeah, it was the orange dreamsicle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I've not had that.
They're all great. I think like she had like maybe root beer float. They're all lemon. I don't even know what I'm thinking. Lemon cake is my favorite. My wife threw a birthday party for me a couple of years ago at Little Wooden Penguin, and Michaela made cupcakes for everybody. And
wow.
At least I don't think I got any that day, but was reserved a couple of lemon ones.
Right.
That's really awesome.
And I just had a birthday here in June, and I walked in and I see this cake sitting there, and I was like, it'd be so cool if that was from Michaela. You know, I mean, I know it's not. And it was.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was fantastic. So, yes, and I can't wait till she gets her business open. It's going to be awesome. That's going to be fantastic. Another addition to the square, basically.
Yeah.
And like you said, she's so motivated, and she's. I told her she's like an old soul. Like she is wise beyond
I love her
years.
Yeah, she's great.
And she's kind of one of those people that makes Celina so amazing.
Yeah.
So I love that. Let's talk a little bit about you and your personal life real quick. So no kids, but definitely the 4-legged variety.
Yeah.
Living right over here off the square. And what year is that home that you guys got?
Mid-50s.
Mid-50s. And how is it living in an older home like that?
Oh, it comes with its ups and downs. 6 months of the year you can shut the front door easily. The other 6 months of the year you got to really put some elbow into it. But it's great. We've got a big lot, and it's just, we can stand at the end of our driveway and look down and see downtown. And I've started calling it my toe tag house because they're bringing me out feet first.
Hey, I understand that. What do you like to do personally? Do you have any hobbies, anything recreation wise, anything you like to do like that?
Yeah, we do. I have to. I tell Debbie that I'm gonna start saying no at some point because we both do a lot of volunteering around here. I am the commander of the local American Legion. I was in the Army, and so I do want to say real quick that towards the end of the month, and I just put it on Facebook. I think it's Tuesday, the 26th of July. We're having a veterans meetup at Rollertown, just so we can touch all the businesses here in Salina during our little conversation. But it's calling all veterans in the Celina area, come have a beer, we'll have some food and that sort of thing. And we go to church here at the Celina Methodist Church, and I'm on the chamber board. Just anything I can really do to be connected with the future of the city. But yeah, Debbie's got ants in her pants. We like to move. We like to travel. We are close to getting to all 50 states together, which I think is really cool. I personally only need North Dakota and Alaska, but here in September, she'll catch up to me and we will get North Dakota. She's got a couple others for us to get to. And then we'll save Alaska for our 20th anniversary in a couple of years. But that's we love to do that. And we hang out. We do a lot of things. We do everything together. So yeah, and we try to stay in Salina as much as possible, but when we don't, we're going on little weekenders. Just her and I, just to have fun. Maybe do a little pub crawl in some rando city, just that not even the best city a state has to offer, just to go do it.
But isn't it good just to be living life right now like that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just living your life and enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fantastic. So you're a big part of Celina and everything going on here, and you've got a great marriage to a great lady, and you've got some great animals. It sounds to me like you've kind of got it all wrapped up. You've got a business.
I got a business, yeah. I got a pot filler behind my stove. I joke when you say we've got it wrapped up. I was like, you know what? We should give people a tour of our kitchen. We've got this ginormous island. We did a renovation right as COVID started, but I feel like I know I've made it now because I have a pot filler behind my stove, and whenever I use it, I holler out pot filler, and wherever Debbie is in the house, she'll say pot filler.
That's awesomeness. I love it. So you've got a very unique sense of humor about you, and there's a little surprise that we've got for everybody coming up later. No, this is the one that you're in.
Oh, I know about this one. Okay.
Yeah, you know about this one.
All right. Mom's the word.
Mama's the word until, well, people are going to hear this podcast after that actually happens. But since I know that you've got that sense of humor, I happen to have a handful of questions that I found that are very unique and different. Okay, and I'm going to be real curious to see how you answer these, and then we're gonna probably wrap this up and get on to some other stuff. I've got a video to do. There was a challenge between the mayor and the chief of police. Yeah. And of course, by the time people hear this podcast, that'll be behind us. But let's just do, if you had to venture a bet right now, and I asked you this the other day, you went Switzerland way. You were right in the middle.
Yeah.
But if are you still right in the middle?
Yeah, I'm calling it a tie.
You call it a tie.
Yeah.
I like it. So let me ask you some of these questions, and I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't read all these questions. Okay. I've read a few, and I said, you know what? That looks just like Andy.
Okay.
This is perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so what would you do if you found a penguin in your freezer?
Is he alive?
I don't know. I have no idea.
First of all, I'd name him. Yeah. And if he's not wearing a bow tie, I'd get a little bow tie for him.
Right.
And then I'd probably call the police because someone's been in my house. I don't know.
And I found a penguin, and I named the penguin. What did you name him?
Philip. No, I don't know. No offense, Philip Ferguson. There's
it has nothing to
do with you.
Yeah, it's just some random penguin that showed up in my freezer. So, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Easy, Buckeye.
Oh wow, very good.
Yeah,
I don't even have to say why.
Well, I can tell you why. It's the state tree of Ohio, but it is also very tall, strong, but it also wavers it blows in the wind, and it produces poisonous nuts that only squirrels can eat, and it's also the name of a little football team up there. So
100%. I get that. I like it. So I asked this question to Holly Farrow, and it was the funniest question to me. I don't know why it strikes me as so funny, but I'm going to ask you the same thing. Just because it happens to be on the list. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Oh, I think it's the 100.
So you take on the mass.
And I think I know that Holly went the other way. Right.
That's right. Yeah, she wanted a horse-sized duck to fight.
When I was a kid, I got bit in the butt by a goose, and it was a goose-sized goose. And it was not a horse-sized goose, so I feel like that would be tough. But 100 duck-sized horses.
You probably handle that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like kicking footballs and stuff.
It's like a bunch of little dogs or so. It's they can't be that tough.
Yeah, I know.
But she had a plan. She was going to poke the horse-sized duck in the eye.
That's good.
So, she had her whole plan, and she felt like she could probably win as long as she could poke it in the eye.
Holly's not a giant. I have a feeling that horse-sized duck would just put her head in the duck's mouth, and she'd be done.
Oh, man. How would you sell hot chocolate in Texas today, being as hot as it is?
Frozen.
Wow, listen to you.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Very good call.
Thanks.
I like that. No wonder the UPS store is so successful. Listen to that. I would have been like, don't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How many basketballs could we fit in this room?
Are they inflated?
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Come on, you
14,000.
14,000 basketballs.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're
assuming they're regulation.
Right. Because if they're not regulation,
it's a silly question if they're not regulation.
100%. So you're a new addition to the box of crayons. What color are you?
Oh, I've already answered in an Ohio State theme, so I'll say pasty white, which is kind of what I am. I don't.
Can I pull a crayon out and say, look, it's pasty white?
Yes, Andy.
Well, that's just the name of the color. It's just called Andy.
You put it, if you lay it in the sun, it gets freckles and burnt.
It doesn't melt. It just gets freckles.
Yeah.
I like it. So describe the color yellow to someone who's colorblind.
It's the middle color on the winged helmets of Ohio State's nemesis. It's the color of yield signs.
Okay.
It's part of what makes green.
Nice.
And I think can't colorblind people see green or brown? And
I do not know.
Let's say yes.
Okay, yes, they can, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, yellow.
Along with 14,000 basketballs in this room. I agree.
Yeah.
They can do that. So if you were a pizza delivery man, how would you benefit from scissors?
Well, I would be very handy with people to help them cut their coupons out.
The next time you decide to do a business, I want to partner with you because that's the kind of thinking, that logic right there is what I need. That's awesome. I love that. Why is a tennis ball fuzzy?
If it wasn't, it would be a lacrosse ball.
Hey, you know what? I think you're right. I think that's right. If you could throw a parade of any caliber through your office, what type of parade would it be?
Cash-bearing customers.
Cash-bearing. And it sounds like you may have that going on anyways.
Yeah, we're doing great in that respect. Yeah. So,
right?
I mean,
thank you, Amazon, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we have 3 people working there like right this minute. And I said, okay, I'm going to go. We've got it covered. But there's this thing. Whenever I leave, they're inundated. So
that's the way it works.
Right now, we probably got a parade of
You're
customers.
probably buried in there right now.
That's parade
awesome.
Of customers.
The good news is we're minutes away from being done. So
I don't really want it to end. So
you can go back and help those cash bearing customers in the parade through your office over there. So what would you do if you were the lone survivor of a plane crash? That'd be tough.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'd start walking.
Start walking.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got to get back to my parade.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this. If you could purchase a machine that makes $100 bills fully legally, how much would you pay for that machine?
$132 million.
I hope it kicks out hundreds.
It better be. Hopefully it's not one a day.
Because it's going to be, I am upside down on my money producing machine, but I've got 14,000 basketballs if you're interested in that. So
I guess I'd start selling basketballs to help pay for it.
If you could answer this, how lucky are you?
The luckiest. Lucky, also blessed. I think I'll say that those things in this case mean the same thing.
Absolutely. And that all has to do with your perspective in your heart.
Thank you.
Guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode of CelinaRadio.com. We've got some fascinating guests coming up, including Melissa Gresham. She's got Run Celina, and Run Celina is doing an event coming up in January of 2023. She already has lots of big sponsors and tons of interest in her event. Now, personally, she served in the military. She's been to some crazy places on the other side of the globe, and she's been in helicopters and combat zones and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So you're going to love hearing my interview with Melissa. And also, I have Jim Scano coming up on the show. And you know Jim because he's got Atomic t-shirts right here in town. And Jim is very much a fixture around Celina, Texas. He's famous and popular because of his t-shirts. And he has a bit of a charity thing he does with t-shirts that I think you're going to really like that as well. He is very, very supportive of the firefighter community because he used to be a firefighter. And some people don't even know that about him. So you're going to love that show too. Now, when you're sitting around and you don't have a whole lot going on, why don't you look us up on social media, because we're pretty much everywhere. We're on Truth Social, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're trying real hard right now to get our TikTok kicked off. And yes, one of the forms of social media that I never thought I would do, but TikTok is kind of what you make it. So maybe check those things out. All of the links are in the show notes, so you can find those on CelinaRadio.com. And one thing I would love to invite you to do is find that little blue button floating around in there at the bottom of the website. Click that and leave us a voicemail. Tell us what you think about any particular episode. Tell us what you think about the show. Give us suggestions. Just say hello. It's all good. And if your comment is not rated R or anything like that, then guess what? We may just use it on the show. So, guys, we're going to get back to our interview real quick with Andy Hopkins. If you had to get rid of one state in the country, one state it's just no longer part of the United States, what state do we get rid of?
Michigan.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. I'm going to go back to a penguin question. Okay, if a penguin walks through that door right now wearing a sombrero, what does he say and why is he here?
He's probably saying, "Donde está Philip?"
This has been a very fascinating interview, and I appreciate it more than you can possibly know. Thank you, Andy, so much for this. And I would really like to come back around later on and do another interview with you. Sure. Would you be willing to come back again?
Heck yeah.
What I'm thinking, well, okay, I said interview, not necessarily an interview. I would like for you to co-host something with me. You've got the best voice. We didn't even talk about all of that, but you've done radio stuff.
I have, yeah.
And you've got a radio voice. So what I'd really like to do, I've got a couple of events that they're asking me to kind of MC and to do remotes and stuff like that. How would you like to do one of those events with me?
Sign me up.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love that.
Guys, this is what makes Celina so amazing. It's the people, it's the leadership, it's the love and passion that we have, not only for our city, but for each other. And if you don't see that in Andy Hopkins, then you're not looking. Thank you, Andy.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, guys, and that is Andy Hopkins. And let me just say that sitting down with him and doing that interview was an absolute blast. If you don't realize that we've got some of the best people in city government running our businesses and making up our community in Celina, Texas, then I literally don't know what to tell you. This is an amazing city. We've got amazing people. And you know what? Andy's just another one of those amazing people that we have here. He's a huge Ohio State fan, and I had no idea, or I would have done something really crazy and awesome to him about the Ohio State thing. And now he helped out on the actual day that he came in and we did the interview. Mayor Terry was supposed to go over to the donkey rescue and name one of the donkeys after him, because he actually won the little challenge between him and the chief, between him and Chief Cullison. But the mayor was out of town, and I had to wrap it up. So I said, hey, Andy, come meet me over at the donkey rescue. I think this will be hilarious, because people who don't know the mayor are going to see someone hop out of a vehicle. I'll film just your feet and then get the back of your head, and your voice will be saying, I'm not real sure who I want to name this donkey out, or what name I want to give this donkey. And then at the last second, you'll look around at the camera and it'll be you instead of the mayor. And I just thought that'd be hilarious. So that's the kind of personality he has. He's willing to do stuff like that. Very, very, very smart, and just a good all-around guy. So, Andy, thank you so much for coming on the show. And, guys, thank you so much for listening. We have a listenership that is growing by leaps and bounds. So I hope you love this. I love making this for you. Celina Radio, baby. Celina, Texas. It's awesomeness. So, guys, I hate to turn down this music from 1984, but I'm going to have to until our next show. So until then, guys, God bless, and I'll see you on our next show.